What'd you say? Yeah, Desmos.
Oh, sorry, that was rough.
Okay, graphing. Okay, which is basically Desmos. So we put in Desmos, we found x-intercepts. We've also factored it, we found x-intercepts. Okay, today we will learn a third method, quadratic formula. It's a long formula, but it's really nice because it always gives exact answers every single time. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's whole numbers or if it's a fraction or whatever it is, it will give you exact answers, which is really, really nice. Okay, what is an exact answer? What's an exact answer? Oh, okay, well, but a decimal is a real number.
A number without a decimal.
Okay, so it is a whole number. A whole number, that'll work. What else is an exact answer?
Yeah.
Great stuff.
No way.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We could say repeating decimal. Repeating decimal. There's one specific I'm looking for here.
It looks like it, like
I feel like it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it is.
Or make fraction.
It starts with an F.
It's a fraction.
A fraction.
I don't
Okay.
know like you want a factor.
Okay, what it is not is anything that is rounded. Okay, a rounded decimal.
I said factor, not count.
Right? It's not a rounded decimal. So anything that is exact is not going to be a rounded decimal. A whole number, a fraction, a repeating decimal, those are fine. But it's not going to be rounded. Okay, so we have done two types of factoring. We're going to go ahead and do those. The first one is by graphing on Desmos. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Desmos.
Are you just going to do it or?
You don't have to do it because it'll be really, really fast here. Why is this not cooperating?
Well, now you have my shoes.
Okay, so there we go. There's our Desmos. Okay, we can see that it crosses at 0.459 and 6.541. So go ahead and fill those in where it says x equals. X equals 0.459 and 6.541. Point 459, 0.654. Okay. Are these exact or rounded?
Rounded.
Yes, they are rounded. Okay. We are going to solve our next one by factoring. What kind of factoring would we do on this guy here? Split the middle. Okay. So 2 times -4 is -8. Two numbers that multiply to -8 but add to -7. Okay, those don't add to -7. 8 and 1. Which one needs to be negative? The 8. Okay, so split our middle into -8x plus 1x. And then we can group. So we should get 2x plus 1 and x minus 4. Okay, now that's the factored form. How do I solve it?
0 product law.
Yep, 0 product law. Set it equal to 0 and solve. So you should get -1/2 and 4. Okay? Those are the two methods that we have been working with the most. Now, obviously, we've done like difference of squares and GCF and that kind of stuff too. But Those are the two methods that we've been doing. Okay, now were these exact or were they rounded? These are exact. Okay, these are exact. So, huh?
Like when we were doing the they said on it, it's exact and rounded.
Okay, so what I want you to notice is that factoring can only give us exact answers. Graphing can give us anything. It can give us exact or random.
How do we know?
Okay, so if it's an exact, right, it's going to be like a nice number. We just talked about what exact and rounded were. If it's exact, it'll be whole, or it'll be a repeating decimal, or it'll be a fraction. If it's rounded, like kind of like the one that we got the first one on decimals, there wasn't a repeating decimal on that. It just kind of rounded numbers. Good question. Okay, here's our quadratic formula. It looks like a beast, right? Like it's pretty kind of ugly looking. Pretty kind of ugly. It's ugly, right? It's ugly looking. Okay, now we could learn a song. We may learn the song. Okay, it's like negative b plus square root. It's like it's kind of fun. It's kind
I
of
need
like
you to sing that again, but louder, so that everyone that you're recording can hear.
We'll do it tomorrow.
Negative b.
We'll do it tomorrow.
Sorry.
Okay.
So,
So, friends, we have to have a standard form equation. Ax squared plus bx plus c. It has to look like that because that's how we fill this in. So all you do is you take your equation and you fill in a, b, and c into your quadratic formula. That's all you really have to do, and it's simplified. So it's not bad. You will see, okay? It is totally doable. But first, we are going to focus on picking out A, B, and C and making sure that we get those exactly right. Okay? So in this case, which one is A? Nope. Nope.
if you say
Does A have an X in it? Yes. Okay? You will never include the X's, right? Only the number. So in this case, A is 5. What's B? -2. Make sure you bring those signs with them. And then C? -1. Okay, and number 2, what is A?
1,
B?
2,
C?
-7.
Good. Do 3 and 4 on your own really quickly. Okay, do you agree with me? Check your answers. Do you agree?
No. 4 is -3. Yeah, number 4 is negative.
I was like, darn it, they're not going to get it. They're going to say, oh, yeah, that's great. Okay. All right, yes, make sure, okay, make sure you bring your negative signs if there are negative signs. Are we okay on A, B, and C?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's keep moving. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we start by filling in the quadratic formula. I'm not going to have you just kind of wing it and try to put it in the formula. We're going to pick out A, B, and C and put it into kind of like a shell here. So what's my A value? What's my B value?
-2.
And my C?
-1.
Okay, so up here, we're going to fill those in. Okay, A is 5, B is -2, and C is -1. Okay, can you kind of roughly see like the A, B, and C on your paper here? Okay, so where you have B, these first 2 slots right here, you're going to fill in -2. Why?
Mine does not exist. We'll just go on.
We simplify it and it gives us the X intercept. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Okay, here we have A. A is 5, so you'll fill in 5 for A. And then C is -1. You're going to need your calculator, so go ahead and get those out. You can use Desmos. If you don't have a calculator, you can plug it into Desmos as well. I will go through both methods so that you can see both methods. Okay. there's a couple things that you have to simplify. Okay? If you notice, in the quadratic formula, it already starts out as negative. It's negative b. Well, we have a negative 2. So what's a negative and a negative mean? A positive. So that's going to become a positive 2. Okay, that negative 2 is now a positive 2. So that's the first thing that you have to simplify. We okay on that? Okay. Now, I'm going to do it on Desmos and I'm going to do it on my calculator, so just pay attention to both here. Let's take this guy. Okay, so if you're putting it in on your calculator, okay, you will have, now, I didn't say this, we're only doing the part under the radical. Everybody say under the radical.
Under the radical.
Bless you. Thank you. Okay, we are not putting in the radical. We are not putting in the radical. You with me on that? Okay, so if you're on your calculator, okay, here's what you're going to do. If you look under the radical,
What's a radical?
this guy right here,
Okay.
okay, if you look,
Thank you.
okay, it's negative 2 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 1. Parentheses are our best friend. Do you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here's what it's going to look like. Negative 2, that's not the right negative. Yep, no radical. Okay, no radical. So when you're putting in negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times, I'm looking at the wrong problem, times 5. I was looking at the wrong problem. My bad. Times 5 times negative 1. Okay? Does that look like what's under your radical?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're doing it on Desmos, same exact thing. Negative 2 squared minus 4 times, that's not, oops. Okay, always, always, always put stuff in parentheses. Every single time. Okay, it won't steer you wrong. So if I go back here and I press enter, we should get 24. Here on Desmos, you should get 24. Does anybody not get 24? Okay, perfect. So, we're going to go back to our notes. Okay, the number under the radical is 24. We just found the number under the radical. Okay, we doing okay? Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so we simplified two things. We simplified our first number. We simplified our radical. Now we simplify our denominator. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, that is our exact solution. Now, I want you to notice something, and you probably already saw it. It's the plus or minus. It says 2 plus or minus the square root of 24 over 10. Do we see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what that means. Okay, that is our exact solution, so you can write that here. Okay, if we break it up, because it's two answers. It's actually two answers. It's 2 plus the square root of 24 over 10, and it's 2 minus the square root of 24 over 10. So it actually gives us two answers. We can just write it as one and kind of condense it, which is nice.
I just thought that was a mistake. The typo. Yeah. It was just like, whoopsie, I forgot to delete the minus.
Okay, so when I say that the quadratic formula gives us exact answers, every time you get this with like the radicals and it's ugly and it's a fraction, that's okay because it's exact. It's going to give us the exact x-intercepts of our graph. Okay. Now we can actually get the rounded numbers, which visually helps us kind of see like, oh, okay, this is actually, if we were to put it in our calculator, 0.69. Okay, so it kind of gives you more of like a reference, like if I was looking at a graph where it would go. Okay, I'm going to show you how to actually get the rounded answers. So let's go back to our calculators here. Okay, so in here, now I can put in the rounded part. So I can do 2 plus radical 24. Okay, now I enter it like this. I do my numerator, press enter, and then I hit divided by my denominator. That's how I do it in the calculators. Okay, because it can get very weird if you don't. We okay on that? Okay. If I do it in Desmos, Desmos is decently smart compared to our calculator.
It's like anybody, like,
Wow, so our calculator is
Kind of. Now see, Desmos will say, oh, see, do you see the difference here? Desmos will say, oh, you want to divide the 24 by 10? No, I don't. Right? What do I want to divide by 10? Yeah. So hit the subtraction. You can put this whole thing in parentheses, and then hit divided. Nope, wrong thing. Then hit divided by 10. And guess what? Desmos will take the whole thing. So you see how they're the same? 0.6898. See how they're the same?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter which way you do it. And we're going to practice with this a lot. Okay, it'll go faster once you get used to it. Okay, so our first one where it says right under to the 2 plus the square root of 24, it's going to be 0.69. We'll just round it to 0.69. Okay, then we can do 2 minus the square root of 24 over 10. Okay, Desmos is nice because you can actually just go in here, change it to a negative, and it'll tell you what it is. So Desmos is pretty darn quick if you want to work with Desmos.
You know what?
So you should get negative 0.29.
scary. It's pretty interrupted class.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Could we have factored this? Could we have used split the middle?
Oh, no, because you got me.
Have we? Let me ask you a different way. Have we ever had a radical, the square root here, in our answers for factoring? Okay, you cannot factor this. So anything that can be written as rounded, can't factor. Does that make sense? Cannot factor. Okay. And really quickly, I am just going to show you on Desmos what this looks like. I promise it's going to go a lot faster after this. Look at that. Okay, here's our 2 answers.
But it took us so long.
But it'll go a lot faster. Because I'm going through every single step really slow right now, making sure you're good. We good?
Yeah.
Does this make sense? Okay. Let's keep diving in. Okay, number 2. What's our A? A is 1. Okay, what's our B? Beautiful. And our C? Yes, make sure we bring those negatives. Okay, so A is 1, 2, -7. So fill in our B. Our B is 2. A is 1. C is -7. Okay, so there's 3 things that we simplify. What's the first thing? Right here. This guy right here. Okay? We don't have double negatives, so he's just going to say -2. Okay, what's the next thing that we simplify? The radical. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and, do you guys want to do Desmos or calculator?
Calculator.
Calculator?
Calculator.
Sounds good. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so I'm going to use my parentheses. 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. I'm getting 32. We getting 32?
Yeah.
Any problems or issues?
No.
Okay, so under our radical, we should have 32. And our last thing that we simplified was our denominator. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so that is our exact answer. Okay, and we can break it up into the plus and the minus. Okay, I want you to put them both in your calculator or Desmos, whichever one you're working with, to get your rounded answers. Okay, there's our 2 answers. You can check those when you get those done.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, could we have factored this? No, okay? This would not be factorable. So if it is rounded at all, not going to be factorable. Okay, not going to be factorable. Okay, again, we could check by graphing, put it into Desmos, make sure that your x-intercepts are correct. Was that a lot faster than the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to get really, really fast. Once you know how to put this in, you're going to fly through these. All right, number 3. You should have 2, 3, and negative 20 as your A, your B, and your C. Okay, I know you're going to start to fly solo here. That's fine. I know you're going to want to be able to do it, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to kind of put things up periodically, and you can kind of check your work up here. Hmm?
What? Boring you.
right, group, I want to pause really quickly on number 3. Because number 3 is special. What did you notice about number 3?
It's not rounded.
It's not rounded.
Okay.
Okay. You get 2.5, but 2.5 can be written as a fraction. Agreed? Okay, and then we also get -4. So I want to go back and I want to see if anybody notices why that happened in this problem. Does anybody notice anything about their simplification that's different than the other simplification? 169 is a perfect square. Right? If we do 13 squared, it's 169. Okay. Anytime you get a perfect square under here, right? 1, 4, 9, 16, 20, all those, it's going to be perfect, okay, or exact, and you're going to be able to work with it. So in that case, you will know that yes, actually, you can factor that. Now, what's nice about the quadratic formula is that it works with anything. It works if you can factor it or not. So it's a really kind of foolproof way of solving because you know you're going to get the right answer, whether it's exact or not. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. All right, let's do number 4. Number 4 does not have a shell anymore. We take the shell away, okay, which is how you're going to do these from now on. So, okay, I'm going to walk you through this. If you're good, that's fine. But I'm going to walk through it up here. Okay, so we start with our A, B, and our C. What's our A? Our A is 3. What's our B?
7.
And our C?
-3.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, now when we fill in our formula, we have x equals. Okay, I want you to draw your line. Here is where people tend to have an issue. Okay, look at our formula. Do you see how this bar extends over that negative b?
Yeah.
Most people lose that, and they forget that it extends over here. Does that make sense? So the whole numerator is together, the whole denominator is together. Okay, so we'll have negative b. So -7 plus or minus, and then it says b squared, so 7 squared minus 4 times a times c. So all I'm doing is that I'm just taking my numbers, my a, b, and c, and I'm plugging them into my formula. Okay, over 2 times. If it helps you to kind of write the shell out first with parentheses, go for it. Okay, I usually kind of write out a shell to help myself. So that's totally fine. Okay, your next step is to simplify. So we simplify our outside, which is going to stay -7. Okay, you can simplify the denominator, and then go ahead and find the root, whatever is under that radical. Okay, you should get 85 under the radical if you do it right. You should get 85 under the radical if you do it right. Okay, this one is not factorable. When you get the rounded, you should get 0.37 and -2.70. Okay. Did anybody have any issues on that? How do we feel? Feel okay? Okay. So if you look, there are only 2 try on your own. Okay, 2 try on your own. And then day 2 is tomorrow. So you don't need to do day 2. We're going to worry about that tomorrow. Okay? I'm going to, you guys go ahead and work. I'm going to pass back your tests. I know. That's why I gave it to you now. singing songs. We're not going to school garden. I'm like,
Why?
I don't know.
Like honestly,
We're
I don't
supposed
like
to
I don't
start.
like
It's not stuff.
what? I
We're
don't
supposed to get more than 2 to 4 inches overnight.
Crazy.
That's
so
so
bad.
bad. Like, okay, this
We
is
will
getting
see if
easier.
that happens.
I'm ready to go to the Like honestly, I think we'll have wood. I said this is easy. I'm ready to go to the I'm ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it.
I'd be sad because I want to see. Yeah, I actually want to see them on a daily basis. I miss how I
Stop.
This is God.
Stop.
Oh, ew, no. Get that out of here.
Get out of here.
I could do it. Watch me actually do like a really bad job on the test. Not like he's doing it wrong. Oh.
Did you?
I missed one.
I don't even remember.
You guys were by far the highest performing class. By far.
Hey!
So I do have to tell you, we had 100%. Yeah, we had 100%. Yeah.
I missed one.
I will tell you that there is a fundamental difference between this class and my next two, and the reason being that you guys actively participate in class communication. So, and I'm not saying that just be like a teacher saying that, but like you guys do, and it's very noticeable in your grades. So keep it up. Okay, keep it up. You're all.
Don't upload this recording.
No, actually,
You're all done.
She's lying. This
Was you?
Yeah.
it was not me.
it was all.
Oh, I know that.
Oh yeah, I don't really do that.
Well, you did very well. Hold on, let me grab it.
Yeah, I just had a
Oh, I completely forgot.
I'm like, you didn't finish.
You got it.
That's why it's because if you have to start it'll like
I remember
Remember when I got that?
Yes, I do.
And I looked at
You got so bad.
I wanted to redo it. I didn't redo it. I got it.
You remember?
I got a 90.
Okay.
This class I just got it. I'm just shutting out.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Some people don't like it like that.
Nobody asked me more. You just gotta say it. Hi, guess. Well, it's guess. I won't say. I won't yell out. Woo!
You can guess, but I'm not gonna say who it is.
What?
Well, I mean, they can say who it is.
I won't blush.
Okay, who got that perfect?
Okay, friends, I forgot to mention this. Okay, if you got below an 80%, I want you to retake on Friday. Okay, so, or if you're just gonna retake it all, okay, you have to do this sheet. Okay, all it is you're just telling me which test you're retaking, whatever. This part's not that important compared to the rest. Okay, here you write down what question you missed and you correct the question. Okay, that's my requirement for your retaking. Does that make sense? Okay. So, does anybody need this paper? Anybody going to retake on Friday? Anybody retaking on Friday? Everybody okay with their grade? Okay. I may have. Oh. Ooh. You checked it. You see how it's easy to rate a 3 instead of an 8?
Yeah.
No, you?
Okay, let me put the grade book here for you.
Oh. I want to know what.
I looked at it
She's smart.
I got a 98. Yes. So
Oh, Aubrey, I didn't have a gradient for you. That's weird. Let me see your test. Did anybody else? Did I give you a test?
No, you.
Okay. I was like, wait a second. So I have the Laura, Zoe, Jacob, and Calissa need to take it on Friday. Is that right? Okay, perfect.
I actually like I don't like. I'm still traumatized from the fight.
Okay. Okay, I will have these friends. If you decide that you're retaking on Friday, if you got below an 80%, you have to retake. But if you decide that you want to retake, so you have to grab this paper. I will have it here the whole week. Okay?
What do we do?
You get groups and you make an outline.
Do all over again. Do all over again for the group.
And then you're like, oh!
I might have.
Can I say hi? Like, oh, say.
Did you just
I'm out. I know. I need to get more from you. I had a bunch.